Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakthrough Moment podcast. Zac Deane here with a good friend of mine, Jared McFarlane. Good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping on. Are you there?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Zach.
It's been a while. I got to see each other in Mexico a couple of months ago, and I was like super inspired by just how you show up in the community. I was inspired by not just the physical training that we were doing. These workouts put me on my ass, but when I found out about you, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to interview you. All the digital nomads out there or people out there wanting to get fit and healthy and sexy throughout this time of year. Let's do a podcast, and I'd love to introduce them to you. So let me do a quick intro and we'll dive straight into it, hey? So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, this is the Breakthrough Moment podcast where we interview entrepreneurs and investors and ask them what's the pivotal moment in their career that broke them into another level of success. And as they share their breakthroughs with us at home can have breakthroughs as well. So for those who don't know Jarrad has been in business for himself for over 15 years, and he's been in fitness, specifically in his fitness business, for 8. Now he's been living in Mexico coming up to 9 years, but working online for 3. So we're really going to dive into fitness, the fitness online business, and how to create an online business, so to speak. He's helped hundreds of people with their fitness, their weight, their mindset, and his big vision is around helping not just people grow physically and mentally, but also grow spiritually as well. So he's a man of God, and he brings business into everything he does. And so without further ado, Jarrad, what has been your biggest breakthrough moment thus far throughout your career?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Zach, for having me. I appreciate you keeping me in mind. And yeah, it's been great getting to know you, and especially spending time in person, and not just voice notes and so on through WhatsApp or in a platform like this. So biggest breakthrough, I think, just to sum it up over all the years, I think it's funny because early on, whether it be I was in renovation, so both commercial and residential. So I started off just doing, roughnecking it and doing, drywall and all the different things. Didn't quite do it for me. And the entire time, my whole goal was to continue my fitness career. That started with playing football for many years and so on. And so that's kind of what inspired me. But I'd say the biggest breakthrough was honestly, and it's probably one of those things that probably gets said a lot potentially, but I know it to be a fact, and I know it to be um, uh, the pivotal moment for me was when I was at my lowest as far as like financially, and I was still here in Mexico, and I was kind of like trying to figure out what do I do next. I just came back from Canada doing oil rigs over the summer. I was just like, I don't ever want to have to do any of this again. um Physical labor I'd like, but not on my time and how I want to do it. But to answer your question, that breakthrough moment came when I started trusting God to call the shots, and I started trusting God to provide, and send opportunities my way. And I don't think it's a simple answer, but it's also, I think, when we do decide to give it all to God, I do think something changes within us, and I think that comes from not trying to do it all on our own. And I think God needs action. I think He wants us to move forward, to step forward, to um, step into our calling and whatever He has for us. But we don't know. We won't know unless we're listening. And so I just said, you know what, God, I'm listening. Whatever avenue, however, whatever path you'd have me take. I'm for it, and just show me what to do. And that being said, that breakthrough didn't even come through when I was as devout of a Christian, or I should say a follower of Christ. And so um, that was the breakthrough moment for me when I started trusting God more, and me less.
That is a big breakthrough for sure. And you said it's like there were multiple moments that kind of brought you to that. And you mentioned that there was a moment of listening, you know, and I think that's probably one of the hardest things for me sometimes. It's like the noise of the world and the distractions of the senses, so to speak, um, or just life's challenges, so to speak. They get in the way and sometimes cloud that ability to listen. And so how did you listen, so to speak. That sounds bizarre. How did you listen? But what did you do to like start to listen more and turn that volume up?
Yeah, I think so. I think in order for us to hear what God has, or even just to hear His voice, and not necessarily an audible voice, but um, His Spirit moving within us, I think the first step is turning down the noise of the outside world, and that means distraction, and that means all the things that um, aren't gonna further both, whether that be your career, but or anything really that is distracting. And then, but the biggest thing I think is prayer. I think is turning down the volume of the world, turning up the volume of prayer. And prayer, not necessarily, being on your knees, at your bed in the morning, and when you wake up. It's the prayer as you're walking your dogs in the morning. It's the prayer as I, drink my morning coffee and I'm looking out at the view that I have here of the palm trees and ocean in the sunset. It's those little moments in the day that are consistently God's trying to talk to you. It's just, are we listening? I think that's the biggest thing. Is yeah. So to sum it up, yeah, it's turning down the volume of the world, and all the distracted that comes with it, all the stresses, everything else, and turning up the volume of, am I intentionally listening? So I guess it would be also like intentionally listening, intentionally spending time, intentionally being in the Word, knowing His character, um, know what voice you're listening to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a busy guy though, Jared. How do you manage it? Like you're back to back to back. Personal training can be one of the most probably, yeah, time consuming professions, right? So how do you make time for it?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, it's like, I think it just kind of to reiterate what I was saying about just being in that constant state of prayer. I think it's I can still be as busy as I can. I can still be having conversation with clients, and like in those moments, there's opportunity there um for me to listen, for me to show up, whether that's for clients and or for friends or wherever, whatever situation I'm in. I think we use it, busyness and stuff to distract us, or almost as an excuse too. So I think even in the noise of life, and as busy as I can get, there's moments every single day we have, 24 hours in a day. Within each one of those hours that we're awake, of course, we most definitely can spend time, whether I'm on my bike, motorcycle, getting to my next appointment, whether I'm working online, doing programs, whatever I'm doing, there's moments within that, that there's always time. There's always time. If we can make time for all the, minuscule things and less important things in our life, we can most definitely make time here and there wherever we can. I could be talking to a client, about training, and still listening to God's voice. And, they should, of course, like with clients too, they're sharing all sorts of stuff with me, and it's perfect opportunities to plant seeds too. So it's like planting seeds. It's not even being like, hey, do you know Jesus? Sometimes it comes in the form of like empathy and listening, and, just being there for them, regardless of whether they're paying me or not to be there and train them. It's in those moments that something comes up and go, hey, you need to plant a little seed here. Here's an opportunity. So it's in those moments throughout the day, and the minutes and the hours that we take for granted.
Sure. I was chatting about this with another podcast guest and just talking about, life is hard, right? Life can be really, really challenging with just with what's going on in our own environment, let alone then you have like what's going on around the world and globally and politically and things like that. And it's like without the foundation of a spiritual connection to God and this alignment to, yeah, the Christian pillars of what it means to be a Christian, um, life is really, really like a lot harder. And so it's not to say once we have this foundation, or once I've started to embody more of the practices and this relationship with God, it's that the pain and the hardness goes away. It's just I feel supported. The pressure is less. There's less weight to carry, so to speak. And so it's kind of hard to explain. For me, I don't hear things. I more sense things, or I just feel like
100%.
it's more of a support. I don't know. It's such a subtle thing, and some people might think it's like crazy, but there is an energy to it. There's a there's a support to it. How do you feel the spirit? How do you know that you're hearing the right voice? Like, how do you have discernment, so to speak?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and those are actually that's a good observation there with the other guests that you had on the podcast too, and that's I think that's an important thing we actually need to talk about more. But my discernment comes from I think the first thing is the relationship, knowing like having that relationship on a daily basis with God. Um, and knowing how his voice sounds and I don't mean that in audible the way although some people could have an audible voice, I'm sure that happens too. But I think it's also knowing his character, and we don't know his character unless we're in the Word, unless we're reading our Bible, unless um, we're in community, unless we're learning from others, unless we're learning from mentors. So I think it's learning more of who God is and who He isn't, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of um, yeah, misinformation about who God is and his character. But if we won't, for us to be able to know what, because we get voices, we get all sorts of stuff coming in every day, including our own flesh. Uh, and so if we know that, for example, if I know that if um, a voice in my head is telling me like, oh, you need to like, I'm judging this person right now because like, yeah, hey, it's a fat guy at the gym or this client, he came in a little bit hungover. It's like, I know that probably the Lord, God's not telling me to, scold this person. He's probably telling me like, hey, lead with love, have a little empathy, handle it a little bit different, than anyone else would. Like I could be that hard trainer, be like, hey, you need to come to the gym, not hungover, and like, what kind of choices are you making? And there's a time and place for that. That's not the time and place, especially if the whole idea is for me to plant that seed, for me to show that empathy. I mean, I'm their trainer, they're paying me for results, so that's a whole nother discussion. But as far as discernment goes, is yeah, knowing his word, so knowing who God is and his character, and then also being able to decipher when you do hear things, what does that sound like, and whose voice is it? You know?
Was there an exact moment where you mentioned before, like putting your trust over to God and allowing Him to call the shots? Was there like a specific moment where you remember that was like that was night and day, so to speak, or was it an accumulation?
Yeah, I would say for me personally, it was an accumulation um, of some would call it like even though it's a word that gets thrown around and it actually even nowadays kind of a bad has a bad rap, but it's repentance. Um it's me leading with it's me being able to slowly, like as I build my business, as I build my relationship with God, as I get more into community, whether that's through a Bible study or through a mentor, a pastor of mine that helps mentor me. It's making all these like small decisions that through doing that, I think it changes our mind. It changes our heart, because the word repent is the change of mind. And so with the change of mind, if you know God's character and if you're in the Word and you're trying to, you surround yourself with, like-minded individuals and stuff, that rubs off on you. I don't think, that saying is you are the five people you surround yourself with. I think it's like that's 100% true, and that could be for anything, especially your spiritual walk. So I think doing that and in doing so and pursuing those things, I think he just slowly chips away, slowly refines you, slow, because no one goes, you know what? I'm Christian now. I got baptized. I'm the best guy in the world. Like I'm never gonna sin again. I'm never gonna look at another girl. I'm never gonna, yell at my wife. I'm never gonna do all those things. But we know that that's not true. It's a slow refinement and chipping away at our flesh and letting God take over in that way. So I think it's a slow process, but so as long as you're pursuing, I think God could do anything.
So many different ways we could take this conversation. I'm curious, when if you were to hypothetically, right, go back in time and start your business journey again with maybe a new mindset or change something differently with what you know now, would you change anything? Would you do anything different?
No, not that I no, I don't know that I would, because I also don't think that I think God put me in this place at the right time in the right place. Although I don't necessarily believe in like predestination, or at least I don't know enough about it to make a um educated guess on that or whatever. But I think for me, I don't think I'd say I'm right where I need to be, even though I'm not where I want to be. I know God put me in the place and in the position, knowing He's not going to give you more than you can handle. That's scripture. That's biblical. And if I did go back, it would just to be pursue God earlier. Make sure I incorporate him in all my decision making. Make sure he's an integral part of every facet of my life, every decision I make, because God knows way better than I do. So if I was going to do it, that would be it. But to answer your question, I wouldn't change anything, because I'm right where God needs me to be for His plan, not my plan.
Mentioned here around every decision coming from him, like how do you know, like how can you do that, and what decisions, I'm still learning as a Christian, right? Like you grew up more of the faith. I remember you were telling me your dad was taking you to church, and a big a pillar towards your own development in that regard. Um, but yeah, you mentioning like, because how do you make it practical, and how do you bring the word into your everyday decisions? That's the question.
For sure, for sure. Well, just to what you said too, like I think even though you're new in your faith, I'm brand new. I'm pretty new in my faith too. And even though I think there's a difference between believing in God and then following God. Um, and I think anything that I've done in the past, before I was intentional about my walk with Christ, anything before that is all just kind of, yeah, I know who Jesus was, and even at one point, I denied him actually as the Messiah and as our Savior, just because I was like, oh, there's not enough proof. Prove to me, like I don't want to be. It's inconvenient for me to believe that, because if I believe that, then I can't do whatever I want, basically, within reason. But we're always learning. I'm mentored right now by an awesome guy. His name's David, and he's a pastor. David. And he's in his. I don't want to butcher this. He's an older gentleman, and I won't say a number. He's an older gentleman, and he's been doing it. He's been pastoring, and he's a theologian. He's been doing it for 60 something years, and he's still learning. He's still like, you never stop learning. I think that's the whole idea, is we're constantly being refined. But to answer your question, how I discern, or how I incorporate God into all the little decisions that I make, again, I think goes back to uh, knowing God's character. So it's I think it's integral for us to be in the Word, for us to know His character, because the decisions that we make, there's going to be all sorts of influences from our loved ones, from the world, from business partners, from everywhere. But I think if we know God's character, and I think if we know how he moves, and when decisions need to be made, the fact that we even go to him, the fact we like, hey, I can get a promotion, or hey, I have a new business opportunity, or I can take it fully online. Like, that's something I'm not like, you know what, that sounds great, money's great, let's do it. Instead, being just saying, hey, give me a couple days, let me pray about it. Give me a month, give me however long it takes. But being in that moment and just like praying with it, I think the more you listen, the more he speaks. So I think it's just again going all the way back to relational, being intentional, incorporating him in your decisions by praying, by being in his word. He speaks to you through his word. He speaks to you through being in relationship, talking to him during the day. I have full on damn conversations with him sometimes at night or during the day. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. This client's really difficult. Like, what do I do? Or like, things like that. So it's just like I'm always talking. I'm having full conversations, not like thus thou, that's for some people if that's how you talk, but I'm just having full on conversations. Sometimes I swear even I'm just like, oh yep, yep, sorry about that. Yeah. I'm working on it. So
That
relationship.
sounds Yeah, that keeps it light, that seems like a really fun way to do it. Keep it in dialogue, and, like, I think a lot of the time, if it's the world being, I guess, the box that we might put ourselves in, but in the matrix of, needing to listen to certain music or have a certain job or do these certain things based on society and culture and things, which can be awesome at times, but if they're not, there's a bit of a, yeah, suppression, and I feel like sometimes religion can be like that. It's quite black or white, and it's maybe dogmatic, I guess the word would be, and like it needs. But it sounds like what you have is this, like, more of an expression, and that's more like an energy like this rather than like this. I don't know if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, 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 yeah.
But in doing that, it's kind of like allowing yourself to express, allowing yourself to share, to then also hear your own dialogue, whether it's reading. I know you do Bible study every week. I got to come to the Bible studies, which are great. But what you're saying, I think the main thing that I'm picking up is that you're turning down the volume of the noise through letting go of the distractions. And we all have our own little thing, right? In our own life, we have that our own little addiction to this or addiction to that, or there's too much of this or not enough of that, and or it's our own criticism or our own standards can be quite rough sometimes. And so um, it sounds like you have a very intentional relationship with life and God. Is,
100%.
would you say that that's about right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, intentionality is, I think, and in any relationship, really, I think, whether that be marriage or friendships or whatever, there has to be intentionality, and because without intentionality, there is no relationship. You need to be in pursuit of that relationship, and it goes both ways. The good news is we got God is a in constant pursuit. He doesn't quit. He's like whatever you can think of and I hate to put it like this, but he's like the absolute worst. I don't want to say toxic, but one of those friends or ex-girlfriends that would just not leave you alone and is just constant, 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 blowing up your phone, but in a good way, because you get all these blessings, you get refinement, you get peace, you get all the things that we want, that we can't get in this world, that we look for, and all the different distractions that you're talking about. So I think, and that's, I don't want to put a negative connotation. I don't want to put a negative side to that, but it's that pursuit, but with complete positivity and holiness, really. So, um, yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. It's intentionality. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to know. Um, yeah, well, just before I share that, I like what you said. It's this pursuit, and I think a lot of the time, like me growing up, and I didn't never got to see too many healthy examples of the pursuit of love. Whether it was like the broken family or the different stepdads or the different, or maybe there was, maybe I just didn't see it at the time. So I never got to then bring that level of like healthy pursuit of love, I guess, into my relationships or with my friends or like to a degree with family. So what you're saying is, yeah, this funny example of this pursuit of this never ending, ruthless level of maybe tough love, but also divine love in life, and you can't escape it, so to speak. And so until we start to listen and actually align to that, life can be in conflict and chaos. And what you're saying is like, well, what I'm picking up, it's like the quicker that you just turn the noise off and start listening and start living into that dance or that sound or that rhythm or that kind of frequency, I just put it like a frequency or a dance with God, then life can become more supporting and more wholesome and graceful and beautiful. I think the more that I try to dance against God's frequency or the dance against God's music,
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
dance away from it, it's like I feel awkward or I feel like I'm not fitting in, and it's like it's hard and there's more conflict and chaos and like bipolar desires and ups and downs. I don't know. That's just an interesting metaphor I just thought of.
For sure. No, it's yeah, a dance is a good way to put it, 100%. And then also it's yeah, I think that constant pursuit is is also refines you in the same way. And I think it does that by taking the focus off me, and my selfish needs and my wants and all the things that we're selfish. We're selfish. And it puts it on like all that Christ ever did and his entire teaching was what can I do to heal this guy? What wisdom can I give to take away from us? Because well, especially nowadays it gets thrown around. It's like self-love and very um not to be controversial, but a very new age type um mindsets of it's all about me. If you're disrupting my energy, I don't want to be around those types of people. Well, guess what? Christ, the sinless man who walked the earth, he guess what he did? He surrounded himself. Now, keep in mind, he didn't surround himself with them because he wanted to take on that type of lifestyle. He did it because, hey, I'm the example. Look at my empathy. Let me lead with love. Let me take the focus off of who I am. He's God, and let me put it on you. And let me say, hey, you need healing, you need love, you need peace, you need all the things you're missing that the world offers, and I am that for you. And so I think the whole idea is this: it takes away this and there's nothing wrong with self-love. I think if it's humble and it's not prideful, um because that's a whole nother thing. But I think it's the whole idea is yeah, it's just the pursuit of Christ. I think it's just taking that. It's not selfish, it's unselfish. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Getting the ego in check and really looking from less selfishness and being more selflessness,
Yes.
more selfless, so to speak. So um, then I'm curious to know how else do you integrate being more Christ-like into your everyday life, whether it's relationships or family or you other parts of business. Like, how else do you bring this into other parts of life?
I think it happens. I think when in doing in having that intentionality, I think it just you just kind of at some point, if the idea is to be more Christ-like, I think it kind of just leaches out of you. You learn to be more empathetic. You learn to, especially with a lot of Christ teachings, it's like love thy neighbor. You're learning to be more empathetic, and you're learning to see other people as children of God, and like I wouldn't, if I was going through something, I would want that same respect, but also same love given back. So I think whether it's, especially in what I do and in training clients, when there's empathy in it, and I think that's part of why my business has been so successful and why I have never marketed necessarily more for in-person clients, but why I've never had to, because I think once I started thinking about it less as like how much money can I make and started putting it on like how much people can I help, and hearing their stories and listening to them and um, just being that person. So a lot of clients will be like, "Oh, this was like a therapy session. We need to do a podcast." And I was just like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Let me know when." But I think things started changing in that way, whether it's business and stuff. So I start incorporating just empathy and love, and not even leading with like I said earlier, like not even leading with like you should get to know Jesus. It's like when I'm going through anything, I'm joyful. I know, and what the conversation you were having with the other podcast guest is like, no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. There's peace to it. It's like, it doesn't mean you're going to feel those feelings. It doesn't mean you're not going to be upset about things that happen in life. That's life. But when I have that peace of knowing I can go to our Father and be like, hey, I'm going through it right now. I need your help, and I need you to get me through this. I don't know how. Once you feel that feeling, you're gonna always want to go back to it. And it's like you said, it's a feeling that you can't really explain. It's one that needs to be felt and one that you need to be present in for you to see the benefits of it. And you don't know, and you can't feel that unless you are in that pursuit and that relationship.
Yeah, it's kind of like that sixth sense. So if we haven't been brought up in developing that as a muscle, it can be weak,
Yep.
So it's like we
Yep.
haven't gone to our spiritual muscle is kind of weak. We're not aware of it because of the noise of the world or the baggage of whatever's laid on us from the
100%.
enemy. So like, yeah, it's such a the more that I talk about it and the more that I think about it, the more that I learn about it, and the more that I meet other Christians, I got to go to this launching pad, which we can talk about, as well as like men's work for Christians. It was intense and awesome. The more that I'm in it, it's quenching a thirst inside of my
Mm.
soul that I don't think I've been able to get, or like get to anywhere else, whether it's like getting to business or getting that partner or getting the the fitness or body, like these things, or the travel. These are all great, but they're not the greatest. They're not the greatest feeling is having this relationship in that relationship with God.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you get to take that relationship wherever you go. That's the best part. Yeah, that goes wherever you go, regardless of what you got going on, trips and everything else. And it sounded like that was an amazing experience, and one that again, certain things that you kind of like put yourself into, whether, like I said, like whether it's Bible studies, you're going to church, um, and things like that. It's being intentional with how you're spending your time.
People have questioned me going, "Why did you go to Burning Man? Like what why are you throwing yourself into the closest thing to like hell on earth type thing?" And I'm like, "Wow, like have you been to Burning Man? I haven't been to Burning Man. That sounds hectic. Like let me just check it out. I'll get back to you. Let me know. I'll let you know if it's the fiery gates of hell and come back to you." And I survived and thrived and met some awesome people, and things that did some cool things that I'm really grateful that I was a part of. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot of judgment as well from the outside world. And I'm not saying that all things in Burning Man are great. Definitely not. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot of like structure and judgment within the religious confines of religion that's
Yeah,
different to this relationship. And it's the relationship that I'm slowly, in my own time, like organically building. And I think that's what I just wish for everyone to start that relationship with God in their own way. I've had some people come to Christ through learning. This is so bizarre, through coming to Christ and becoming Christian, so to speak, through the teaching, through learning the original uh, legal architecture of our legal system and realizing
oh well,
the power of our Christian name in the and the original structures of law and
yeah,
all this like sovereign wealth stuff. It's wild. And then they've come, oh my gosh, Jesus was on to something that was not just about religion. It's infiltrating. And so it's interesting how the vine, what does it say
yeah,
about God? Is the vine is all is touching people in all walks of life. It's really beautiful.
100%. Yeah, he'll work through anything. He can work um through anything really. And that's the amazing part when you hear people's testimonies and where they come from. I always love a good testimony, especially when it's raw and in the moment, you unfiltered. It's like I love a good testimony because it's seeing how God works. It's seeing how he's changed them and how he's touched them. And sometimes it's crazy situations. And even with the Burning Man situation that you said, it's you know I always think like, would God want to go? Would Jesus want to go to Burning Man? Jesus would be like, put me there, watch what happens. So and guess what? There is no judgment there. You're not. I think if the whole idea is like you're going to these things. I live in a city that some would consider very unholy. It's a tourist city. There's a large, it's a community with a lot of dark. It has a very dark. It could have a very dark side to it. Um, but I guess the whole question I asked myself, and I've considered, like, should I move? Like, it's pretty dark. Like, I don't know how can I grow here? But how I answer that too is like, if we're to be salt and light shines way brighter in the darkness. And if I'm going to be that light, if we're going to be that light as a community, as Christians, as followers of Christ, not just believers, we got to walk that walk. And if we're that light, then this is a great place to shine it. And this is a great place to get those people because they're good. Like, it's like saying going to going anywhere like a homeless person or a prostitute and walking right by them, like they're not worth it. Like, why are they less worth it than, the guys you go to church with or whatever? They're just as um they need a savior just as much as we do. And that comes down to the judgment thing. Like, you went to Burning Man, I was never like, I was like, that's kind of crazy. Hey man, I hope you have fun. I hope you're able to, God's got your back. Like, you do your thing, man. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I just want to, I guess, reiterate on what you were saying.
Yeah. You mentioned something there, the difference between a follower versus a believer.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, it's kind of like I almost feel like it's cliche now. That you do see it a lot. A believer is I always see this as like, even Satan believed in Christ. Even Satan believes in God. Right. So we can be believers, but following is doing what he says. And that takes discipline. That takes relationship. It takes letting him change you from the inside out. But following is following the teachings, following what he's told us to do, living a life as we're all sinful. We're never going to be perfect. There was one man that did it and he died on the cross for our sins. But what we can do is keep trying our best. It's like that saying that Jesus says, like, people will come to me, Father, did I not cast out demons? Did I not prophesy? Did I not do all these things in your name? And Jesus says, away from me, worker of iniquity, or evildoer, or whatever, is I did not know you. And in my opinion, what he's talking about there isn't like you did all these things and you were a great churchgoer, you went to all the Bible studies, you did all those things. What he's saying is like, I didn't have a relationship with you. Who I don't know you. You didn't you did all the shiny stuff on the outside, but in here you were rotten. And so it's like, I think it's the pursuit, it's the relationship. He didn't come for us to just like save us for our sins and then, okay, you can go and do whatever you want. Just say you're sorry every once in a while. It's like, no, he came for relationship, and that's, in my opinion, that's what I think he's trying to say, is that and I keep pushing it. I think it's because I think it's so important, and it is in everything, and I think it helps us in every decision we make. But it's the relationship. We have to continue, that we need to pursue relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. How does this, you know, there is this insane, I don't know if it's always been like this, but in my reality, there's so many more people coming to, or let's say, let's say waking up to the truth and the solid foundation that Christ is. And I don't know if it was always like that. Maybe there was always these revolutions or these kind of these moments in history. I'm not sure, but I see so many people. Like, for example, this morning I saw Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's gone through his own journey and now comes to Christ and um, sings a lot of gospel music. Apparently, Elvis sang a lot of gospel music. It was his
Mm.
favorite music to sing was gospel music. Um, but how do you, as a man in business, integrate more of the teachings from the Bible into dating and into finding your wife? And we spoke a lot of it during our gym sessions around intentionality and planning things, even planning the level of intimacy. Are you intimate? At what level do we hold hands? When do we hug? When do we kiss? Like, planning this stuff. And I was, you kind of were my first example of what what is Christian dating? What do you mean? Every movie and story I've ever heard of starts with some romance of infidelity or some kind of crazy party, and they fall in love after having sex in Vegas or something, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I'm like, I have never seen an example of Christian dating. Like, and so what is it? What does it mean? And how can someone, like, yeah, well, from your experience, how have you started to integrate this into your own dating life?
Yeah, for sure. That's a good question. And also, um, I think another thing to know is, like, especially because it's new to me as well, and one that I'm learning as I go. But with community and being able to, like, lean into people that have done it before and maybe even know the right answers. I don't think it's as subjective as people make it to be, but I think for me personally, I think what it's been is again, it's being intentional in our relationships. And so when it's pursuing someone that is you're considering for a romantic relationship, I think it needs to be known that one, we don't go by worldly dating. We don't go by the standards that the world sets for us. Because if we go by those, it's no holds barred. There's everything's on the table. And I don't just mean that in a sexual way. I mean that in it could be emotional. It could be, you know, lack of commitment. All the different things. It's like as soon as you make me uncomfortable, and as soon as this becomes inconvenient, off to the side you go. That's what the world tells us, among many other things. So I think what Christ taught us, what the Bible tells us, is to be intentional. It's by the way, dating is not in the Bible. There's no scripture. And I've heard this before, and I've done a little bit of research on it. It's like there's nothing that says any guidelines as to dating in the Bible. It's got some for marriage and so on, but dating is a very new thing. But that being said, I think it's just again, it's going back to being intentional with when we're pursuing someone. It's are we dating to feel good about ourselves and to because everyone comes into a relationship with baggage and scars and all the things that they've went through, uh, especially if they're going from non-Christian to Christian and all the above, because there's some Christians that I've been dating and they've just been brought up that way that I know, that have gone through some rough stuff too. But I guess what it comes down to is being intentional. Is like is what we're pursuing and what we're walking towards for a covenant for God. Because if it's marriage, you're working towards marriage. There's no two ways about it. You date to get to know get to know the person enough so you know if their character, if they're equally yoked, if they're pursuing God just as strongly as you are. And if they're not, that's okay too. But that's just maybe that's not for you. Um, that's not for that might not be for you. So I think again, I'm going to wear this word out, but it's intentionality and communication and yeah, and guidance from God and from the people in your community that you trust. And yeah, I think it's just being intentional with everything you do, whether it's holding hands, whether it's when do we kiss, all the different things. And there's a lot of different information out there about it, but I guess what it comes down to is not just listening to a TikTok or a Instagram clip. It's doing the research, reading a book, talking to the people that have done marriage for 50 years and in a Christian context. So that's what I am still pursuing and figuring out on my own as well.
No, good on you. And I think it's such a great standard to have that more men and women should have, because I think a lot of the world's problems, especially when it comes to like broken family units, come from this unintentionality, being unintentional and
Yeah,
unconscious
yeah,
and distracted and quick fixes. So that's the kind of just, you just can't deny it. The world would be in a much more incredible place if we had more solid, stronger family units with solid men and women coming together, working through their problems. Yeah, I think my life would have been completely different. And obviously there's pros and cons to everything, but I think the world overall would be a more amazing place if we really lived the values and the standards of the Bible. Like, just
amen. Yeah,
religion aside, it's just like that would just create more harmony within life. And the more that I look at it and study it and experience the world and the struggles, I'm like, oh, hang on a second. Maybe there's more to this Bible thing than I ever thought. There's
yeah,
so much to this. And there's things in the Bible that I guess that doesn't talk about. Like, and this is the interesting bit of a segue, is like fitness, right? Nutrition. Back then, they didn't have McDonald's and crappy food and seed oils, right? So they didn't need to probably talk about health and wellness. But from the Bible, from what you've seen, how would you understand eating biblically or moving your body biblically to create more optimal health and optimal, you know, stepping
for
into our,
sure.
I guess, God given talents at the end of the day?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's it can be, I mean, there's lots, like there's some verses in Proverbs that talk about being a sluggard, which is like, like being lazy. There's many, actually, there's multiple. I highlight them all the time, not just for to give away, but also for my own. And there's tons of them about being lazy for sure. And then also as far as like fitness and what you eat and everything else, I think it's just like, your body's your temple. That's biblical. And with our body, even though it deteriorates and it's got all the different things, we're slowly dying. There is things that we can do to prolong that, but also um, things that we can do to better hear the Holy Spirit, and that comes down to like what we put on our body, whether it's inflammation, it's diabetes, it's all the foods that we eat that cause all those things, like seed oils and everything else. I think there's foods we know better, so we need to do better. And I think that uh, there's multiple, and I mean there's just multiple verses that I can think of that just talk about just not being lazy, taking care of your body, and how that distracts you your from hearing God's voice, and from being uh or having the ability to move your body like God intended. God didn't intend for us to sit at a desk and for 8 hours in a day and then go home eating a TV dinner, and then go to sleep, do it all again. And by the way, that sleep is really, really bad, because you have screen time and the TV going on, and there's music and there's all these different things. It's like God did not intend for us to be in that state. And I think we could get, real conspiracy theory on this, but of course, Satan has a great way of, again, with all the distraction of making that a thing. If he can't get at us, he's gonna make us sick. He's gonna make us. And then, by the way, when we do get sick and these things do happen, which we do to ourselves for the most part, that's not all cases. Who do we blame most of the time? We blame God. We say, "Oh, see, I got diabetes," or "Oh, I'm terminally ill." Like, see what kind of God does this? It's like, hey, but guess what? You have never in the Bible does it say anything about us not suffering. It never says anything about suffering. Actually, it's quite the opposite. So keeping that in mind, knowing that's not a guarantee that we're never going to suffer, but we need to be able to put our best foot forward. And that doesn't mean everyone needs to be a bodybuilder, but we do need to be intentional with what we eat, what we put in our body, how we move our body, and not even in a prideful way, just being able to like move like I need to move. Even for me, my mobility is not the absolute best, but I know that, and I know I need to work on it. So I think it's just little things like that. It's being mindful about how we pursue that, and actually doing it.
And you think about it as well, like there's so much confusion in the health space or even in the fitness space. And there's just, so much confusion. Should I eat this supplement, this routine? Or should I train then? What do I do this? How do it's like, whoa, that level of it's crippling,
Yes, it
right?
is.
And it's like the more that I just come back to fasting, prayer, simply seeing the sunrise, going for a walk, seeing the sunset, going for a walk, those are like just my baselines, especially when I'm traveling or I'm not in a good routine, so to speak. It's like if I can just do these fundamentals, I don't need to go to the gym all the time and have a big workout. I don't always need to eat perfect. Like it doesn't need. But when I sit back and just go, I can just, okay, I'll skip a meal and I'll do a bit of fasting and a bit of prayer and some journaling or some reading the Bible or listening to a podcast. It's in those moments that I feel like my health and wellness improves the most, especially if we talk about slowing down, less noise, sitting outside, getting more sun. It's just like it's been a good reminder that being healthy doesn't need to be hard. Being fit, doesn't need to be, unless you want to do bodybuilding, that's a different equation.
Yep.
Then they can talk to you. But yeah, I think it's simple when you really think about it.
Yeah, and that's 100%. And I think that's what I stress the most is with my clients, is it's because there is a lot of distraction, and it comes in the form of, like, for example, a lot of these websites and everything, like the 5 best foods for building muscle, and they'll like get skinny in 3 days, and it's like none of those. That's an over exaggeration, but the whole idea is for you to get frustrated and just be, I need this thing, this is the next best thing. Um, and I think it's really friggin' simple. It's actually almost too simple. The hard part is applying that, especially um when we've been programmed to eat a certain way, to like eat all the junk food. All this, it's a daily part of our diet. And then even like accessibility to healthy food and all the things. It's like that's not all by mistake. That is all by design. And then when they keep us sick, and then don't even get me started about like using pharmaceuticals and all the different stuff that we can get into with that. But it's like it's all by design. It's like keep you sick so you can be inflamed, so you can buy the medicine, so you can not do all these things, keep you distracted from what the most important thing in our life is, because if we're sick, we're not focusing on God. So that's what I think it all comes down to, and that's a really simple way to put it. But um there's a lot of distraction, and again, with our spirituality it's the same thing, but in with our fitness and everything else, it's especially just dumb it down. Like we think way too much about it. Get to the gym 3 days a week, go for walks, enjoy nature, get a little bit of sun, unless you live in, where I'm from. Not where I am. And even then you can go for a nice cool walk, and like you don't stay out as long outside. You take out the headphones, you listen to the birds chirping and the snow blowing and the wind going, and it's like take out the distraction, get some steps in, eat a nice freaking salad or a steak and a baked potato or whatever you got to do. Dumb it down. Just dumb it down. We need to keep things simple, because science says the things that work, and all the best trainers, all the best sports scientists know this, and it's like all the things that have been working, we already have proven they're working. Um, and so all these new things that come up, it's like they're just meant for distraction, and also to like publish they need to talk about something, so we're gonna have to talk about something. Let's publish something. So distraction.
So my second last question is, and before we wrap it up, my second last question is, all right, the entrepreneurs out here, right? We're listening. We're like, okay, Jarrad, come on. We want to learn about fitness. Like, how do I increase my muscle mass? How do I get shredded? Like, I want to step into a healthier version next year. It's 2026. Like, what's the best way to really cutting down and building muscle? I want to get to, a new goal weight of weight. And we're going to get more muscles and feel healthier and younger. What is the quickest, fastest way to do that?
Well, I want to say one quick disclaimer. If you're looking to lose weight, that can be a great way. If you're disciplined, if you just incrementally, both with building muscle and with losing fat, I think it's not trying to do it all at once, because it's like the New Year's resolution thing, which is coming up soon. People do this all the time. It's like, okay, I'm cutting this out. I'm gonna just cold turkey. It's a new year, new me. I say that's, sorry to swear, but that's bullshit. You need to slowly and incrementally make small changes, and habits that complement the physique or the place that you're trying to get to. It'd be a good example that I always use is, if I'm getting into the gym, it's been my first time ever, or I haven't done it in a long time. I'm not going to try and get under the bar and squat 225. I'm not going to pick up the heaviest dumbbells that they have. I'm going to start with the 10-pound dumbbells. I'm going to start with maybe a machine and not a barbell. So it's starting slow. And the one thing I get from a lot of my clients is that they find, and this is not tooting my own horn, because this is just common knowledge. And if you have a good trainer, he's going to do this with you. He's not going to be like, hey, this is my first time. I don't even know you. Even though we've done a park and everything, he's going to say, what's all the things that you can and can't do, your ailments, all these different things, injuries. And then he's going to say, okay, cool. You haven't done any of this before. Let's slowly get you into this. I'm not going to try and kick your butt so you can say, wow, Jarrad gave me a good workout, pat on the back. Come back tomorrow and you feel good leaving there. It's going to be like, that was a really boring workout. But I didn't injure you. We slowly are going to work it up to increasing your volume, increasing the amount of sets and reps and all that kind of thing. So to sum it all up and to answer your question is, how can people start if they want to do that? Is slowly making small changes that they can incorporate into their daily life that are going to get them towards that end goal. And that could be taking walks, walking your dog a little bit longer. That could be starting to make, instead of TV dinners, or instead of eating out at night, maybe do it instead of 5 days a week. Try just doing it 3, or try bringing it down to 2. Don't just not do it at all, because you're going to be like, oh, I missed that. Then slow, you can maybe make healthier decisions with the things that you do eat when you do go out. So it's like those small little changes that you can still get. A good example, actually, one of my favorite trainers, his name is Dave Israetel. He always uses the example of a coffee. He's like, I'm gonna still want to go to coffee. I'm still gonna want to go to Starbucks or the local cafe and have a frappuccino, mocha latte, whatever. Instead of doing that, still go to the cafe, still get that treat, but make it a black coffee, or a black with maybe a sugar and not 12. Like things like that. It's making those small decisions, basically, I think, is what's gonna get them to the goal that they're desiring.
What you're saying is the slow way is the fast way. It's
A
it's a
hundred
it's
percent.
a pattern, it's a pattern that keeps coming back up. This year, if there's like one theme that I'm learning from that is a truth for all things, is that the slow way is the fast way. If you want to move fast in business, you want to move fast with a relationship, you want to move fast with your health, with your spiritual connection, the slow way is the method. The slow way is the fast way. It's
Yeah,
it's so true.
yeah. I totally agree. With
So
fitness, business, and faith.
say that again.
With fitness, business, and faith. All those things.
Fitness, business, and faith. How can people get in touch with you, Jarrad? And then I've got my final favorite question.
So you can find me on Instagram at McFarlane Fitness, so MacFarlane Fitness, and or on Facebook at Jared McFarlane and/or McFarlane Fitness as well. And yeah, that's my 2 main platforms, and then yeah, that's pretty much how you can find me. And yeah, I'm growing my fitness business here. Um, and just trying to yeah, my next steps are coming in with digital nomads specifically, and my business and my platform and how I train clients is going to be geared directly around people that are on the move, business, like entrepreneurs and so on, that are city to city and going out and about, and but still wanting to keep fit and still wanting to take care of themselves. And how does that look like in a very transient type of lifestyle?
Reach out to Jarrad. I'll put the link around the video somewhere. This year, if you're wanting to grow with your faith, your fitness, and your business, get in touch with Jarrad. My final question. What did I say? All right.
Yeah, 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 good. I like it.
I was like, what's the other F? Faith, fitness, and fun. I was like, business. Um, but yeah, if you want to have more fun in your faith and fitness, chat to you. That's the one. So if you were to challenge people today, after you've just shared all this amazing knowledge, I've got a whole bunch of notes. What is the biggest challenge that you want people to take away today that will help them have the biggest breakthrough for them? Right? Is it a challenge today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year? What is that the most important challenge you'd really like to impart?
I would say it would be the challenge of just starting, and I think that's where people get caught up. Um, I had this one mentor at one time, um, that he was a very business minded guy, super go getter kind of guy. And he used to tell me all the time, like early on in my business, he used to say, Jared, you're getting analysis paralysis. He's like, stop thinking about all the things that you need to do, you have to do, all the different variables that you're going to have to get your business going. He's like, just start one little at a time, just start, and then just don't give up. Um, and just be consistent. Don't be perfect, be consistent. So I say that to my clients all the time. Don't be perfect, just be consistent. So just start, just get started. Whether that's your fitness, whether that's business, whether that's your faith. Um, I'll share this real quick, but what actually got me started in my faith, and what I can attribute to any of the good things in my life, come from God, and all good things come from God. And what got me started was I seen that Bible in the bottom of my in the bottom of a storage container that I had in my room, that just followed me along while I traveled. And I kind of looked at it. I was like, God was calling me. I was like, I'll put it on my nightstand. And from the nightstand, it sat there for maybe 2, 3 months. And I just kept putting it off, putting it off. But the moment I picked up that Bible and I made that part of my daily routine, life changed for me. And I didn't get rich quick. I didn't build my best physique right away. And I'm still working on it. But I didn't certainly didn't become a theologian overnight or anything like that. I'm still going to work on it, and I will never give up. But I just started. I needed to start. I needed to open that Bible, turn the page, and start. So
Pick up the Bible, turn the page, and just start. I love it. So, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being an inspiration to me in all the areas that we've spoken about today, and to everybody else out there. If you're out there, if you felt the inspiration from this podcast, please share it with somebody who would benefit, like this podcast. And we'll see you next time on the Breakthrough Moment podcast. Thanks for tuning in, Jarrad.
thanks so much, Dean. Zac Deane. I read your last. Thanks, bro.